The alarm bells rang through the halls of the Galactic Council building on Nexus Prime. Ambassador Kale Mora ran down the long corridors as fast as his 4 legs could carry him. His blue skin was pale with worry, and his large eyes showed fear. Something terrible had happened to his people. The meeting room was already full when he arrived. Representatives from dozens of different alien species sat around the giant circular table. Some had fur, others had scales, some breathed air, others needed special masks, but they all looked worried. Commander Rixthar stood at the center of the room. He was tall and covered in thick gray armor. His people, the Dreknari, were known as the strongest warriors in the galaxy. His red eyes glowed as he spoke in his deep voice. "We have received the emergency signal from the Villani colonies," Rixthar said. 3 of their outer worlds have gone completely silent. No communications, no signals, nothing. Kelmora stepped forward. His voice shook as he spoke. "It has been 3 full days since we lost contact with New Villani, Haven Colony, and Peaceful Waters. These worlds had over 2 million of my people living on them." The room filled with worried whispers. Lost colonies were not common in their peaceful galaxy. Wars had ended long ago. Most species got along well with each other. "Perhaps their communication systems broke down," suggested Ambassador Yith-Ka from the insect-like Zephyrian species. Her wings buzzed nervously. "It could be a solar storm, or equipment failure." Commander Rixthar shook his massive head. "We sent 3 scout ships to check. They also went silent. The last message we received showed something very strange." A large screen appeared in the center of the room. It showed the recording from the final scout ship. The image was fuzzy and broken, but they could see space around one of the lost colonies. Where the planet should have been glowing with city lights, there was only darkness. "The entire planet looks dead," Rixthar continued. "But our sensors picked up something else. Energy readings that do not match any known weapons or technology." Scholar Quinn Neth stood up slowly. She was very old, even by her people's standards. The Etherians lived for hundreds of years, and she had spent most of her life studying ancient history. Her wrinkled face showed concern. "These energy readings," she said in her soft voice. "Can you show me the exact patterns?" Rixthar touched some controls and numbers appeared on the screen. Quinneth studied them carefully. Her face grew more worried with each passing second. "This cannot be right," she whispered. "These patterns, I have seen them before." "Where?" asked Kale Mora. "In what technology?" Quinneth walked to her seat and picked up an old, thick book. The cover was made of metal and covered with strange symbols. Everyone in the room knew what it was. "The Terran Codex, in the ancient warnings," she said. "The energy signatures match those described in the Terran Codex." Many representatives in the room laughed. The Terran Codex was old, over 2,000 years old. Most people thought it was just stories and legends. Scholar Quinn Neth said, "Ambassador Yith-Ka, surely you do not believe those old tales are real." But Quinn Neth was already opening the ancient book. The pages were thin and glowed with soft light. "The Codex speaks of a species that once ruled this galaxy through fear and violence. They called themselves Terrans, or humans. According to these records, they were apex predators, the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever seen." "Commander Y?" Rixthar crossed his arms. "Even if such a species existed, the Codex says they destroyed themselves in a great war. That was 2,000 years ago." "Yes," Quinneth agreed. "The final entries speak of a terrible civil war among the humans. They fought each other with such violence that it seemed like their entire species was wiped out. But what if some survived?" She read from the glowing pages. "The humans did not fight like us. They did not simply want to win battles. They wanted to break the spirit of their enemies. They enjoyed the hunt. They made war into an art form." Kyle Mora felt sick. "You think these humans attacked my colonies?" "I think we should consider the possibility," Quinneth said. "The Codex contains detailed descriptions of their weapons and tactics. The energy signatures from your lost worlds match perfectly." The room fell silent. The idea was terrifying. If an ancient predator species had returned, None of their peaceful civilizations were prepared for it. But why now? Asked Ambassador Yithka. If they survived, why wait 2,000 years to return? Quinneth turned more pages in the codex. According to these records, the humans were incredibly patient. They could plan for decades or even centuries. Perhaps they needed time to rebuild. After their civil war, Commander Rixthar slammed his fist on the table. Even if this is true, we are not helpless. The Draknari fleet is strong. We have weapons and shields. Do we? Quinneth asked quietly. The Codex says the humans once controlled most of this galaxy. They had technology we cannot imagine. If they have returned, they have had 2,000 years to improve their weapons. Kael Mora looked around the room at all the worried faces. What do we do? My people might still be alive on those worlds. We cannot just abandon them. We need more information, said Rixthar. I will send a full battle group to investigate. If these humans exist, we will find them. And if you do, find them? Asked Quinneth. Rixthar's red eyes glowed brighter. Then we will show them that this galaxy belongs to us now. The age of peaceful species being afraid is over. But as the meeting ended and the representatives left to contact their home worlds, Quinneth stayed behind. She continued reading the ancient codex by herself. The pages told stories of worlds burning, of entire species begging for mercy, of predators who hunted among the stars. One passage made her hands shake as she read it. The humans do not simply want to rule. They want others to know they could. Be destroyed at any moment. Fear is their greatest weapon, and they use it well. Outside the meeting room, emergency signals were already being sent to every world in the galaxy. But Quinneth wondered if warnings would be enough. According to the Codex, when humans decided to hunt, nothing could hide from them for long. The galaxy was about to remember why some species should never be forgotten, no matter how much time passed. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, ancient predators were already moving toward their next target. The Draknari battle fleet moved through space like hunting wolves. Commander Rixthar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars ahead. 12 powerful warships followed behind him, the strongest force the Draknari had ever sent, into battle. Sir, we are approaching the Villani system, reported his weapons officer. Still no signals from any of the colonies. Rixthar nodded. His red eyes focused on the main screen. All ships battle formation. Weapons ready. If something destroyed 3 worlds, it might still be here. The fleet spread out as they entered the system. What they found made even the brave Draknari warriors feel fear. The 3 Villani colony worlds hung in space like dead rocks. No lights, no signals, no signs of life at all. Commander, said his science officer, I am detecting massive damage on all 3 planets. It looks like something hit them from orbit. What kind of weapons could do this? Rixthar asked. Before anyone could answer, the ship's alarm began screaming. 3 objects had appeared on their sensors, coming from behind a large moon. Unknown. Ships approaching fast, shouted the tactical officer. Their design. I have never seen anything like it. Rixthar stared at the screen. The 3 ships were long and dark, shaped like hunting predators. They moved with perfect coordination, like they had been working together for years. This is Commander Rixthar of the Draknari Defense Fleet, he broadcast on all channels. Identify yourselves and explain what happened to the colonies on these worlds. The response came in a language none of them recognized at first. Then their computers began to translate it. Draknari. The voice was cold and calm. You are in human space. Leave immediately or be destroyed. The bridge fell silent. Humans. The legends were real. Human space? Rixthar's voice grew angry. These worlds belong to peaceful people. You murdered them. We reclaimed what was always ours, the voice replied. Your people moved into our territory while we were away. Now we have returned. One of the human ships moved closer. Rixthar could see its weapons charging with energy that made his sensors. Scream warnings. You have 10 seconds to leave, the human voice continued. After that, we will show you why your ancestors feared us. Rixthar felt his warrior blood boiling. No one threatened the Draknari fleet. All ships attack formation. Show these humans that we are not afraid of old legends. The battle began instantly. The human ships moved like nothing Rixthar had ever seen. They were fast, turning and diving between his larger warships. Their weapons cut through Draknari shields like they were made of paper. Impossible, gasped his weapons officer. Their energy output is off the charts. How can such small ships have so much power? 2 Draknari ships exploded within the first minute. The humans worked together perfectly, one ship drawing fire while the others attacked from behind. They fought like they had done this 1,000 times before. All ships focus fire on the lead human vessel, Rixthar ordered, but when his fleet tried to surround one ship, the other 2 appeared from nowhere and destroyed 3 more Draknari vessels. In the chaos of battle, Rixthar caught a glimpse of the human ship's bridge through a scanner image. He saw figures, in dark armor moving with calm precision. They were not panicking or rushing. They looked like they were enjoying themselves. "Sir, we have lost 8 ships," reported his tactical officer. "Recommend immediate retreat." Rixthar's pride wanted to keep fighting, but his duty was to warn the galaxy. "All remaining ships emergency jump, get us out of here." As the surviving Draknari vessels fled into hyperspace, the human ships did not follow. They simply watched them go, like predators who had finished playing with their prey. Far away on the other side of the galaxy, Captain Hyunwoo Kim stood in his command center aboard the UES Retribution. The ship was massive, 3 times larger than any vessel in the current galaxy. Its black hull was covered with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. "Captain, we have received the battle report from Strike Team Alpha," said his communications officer, Lieutenant Da-Un Lee. She was young for her rank but had proven herself in many battles. Hyunwoo nodded as he read the report. The Draknari had fought better than expected, but the result was never in doubt. 12 enemy ships destroyed, 4 escaped. No damage to our forces. "Sir," Da-Un said carefully, "the enemy ships were full of living beings. Hundreds died in that battle." Hyunwoo looked at her with calm eyes. He was a tall man with scars from many wars. They chose to fight instead of leaving when warned. Their deaths were their own decision. But they were just investigating what happened to the colonies. They probably thought they were on a rescue mission. "Lieutenant Lee," Hyunwoo's voice became colder. "The galaxy belongs to humanity. It always has. When we left 2,000 years ago, these alien species moved into our worlds like insects. Now we have returned to reclaim what is ours." Da-Un wanted to argue, but she knew better. Hyunwoo was a good captain and a fair leader, but he had been raised to believe that humans were the rightful rulers of all space. Admiral So-Jin Park entered the command center. She was an older woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that showed no mercy. Under her command, the human fleet had already reclaimed 50 star systems. "Captain Kim, excellent work by your strike teams," she said. "The alien response was faster than expected, but they proved to be weak as predicted." "Thank you, Admiral. What are our next orders?" Admiral Park smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "We move to the next phase. I want you to select a heavily populated alien world and make an example of it. Something that will spread fear throughout their galaxy." "An example, Admiral?" "Destroy it completely. Every city, every settlement, every living thing. Let the other aliens see what happens when they resist the return of humanity." Da-Un felt sick, but she said nothing. She had joined the fleet to serve her people, not to murder innocent civilians. "Admiral," Hyunwoo said slowly, "perhaps we could offer them the chance to surrender first. Many of these species have never seen real war." Admiral Park's eyes grew cold. "Captain, these aliens have been living on human worlds for 2,000 years. They have grown soft and weak while we suffered and rebuilt. They deserve no mercy." "Yes, Admiral," Hyunwoo replied. But Da-Un noticed he did not sound happy about it. As Admiral Park left, Da-Un approached her captain. "Sir, may I speak freely?" Hyunwoo looked around to make sure they were alone. "What is it, Lieutenant?" "The aliens we are fighting, and they seem to be peaceful people. The Volani colonies we took had no weapons at all. They were just farmers and families. Your point? Is this really what humanity should be doing? Are we liberators or conquerors? Hyunwoo was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "We are what 2,000 years of exile made us, Lieutenant. When humanity was driven from the galaxy by civil war, we swore we would return stronger. But these aliens were not part of our civil war. They just found empty worlds and made homes there." Hyunwoo turned to look out at the stars. "Perhaps you're right, Lieutenant, but orders are orders, and Admiral Park commands this fleet." That night, Da-un could not sleep. She accessed the ship's historical records and began reading about the old human civil war. What she found troubled her even more. The war had not been between humans and aliens. It had been between humans who wanted to conquer the galaxy and humans who wanted to live in peace. The peaceful humans had lost, but according to some records, they had not all been killed. Some had escaped to hidden worlds, hoping to build a better future. Da-un wondered if those peaceful humans still existed somewhere, and if they did, what they would think of what their species had become. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike anything they had ever held before. Representatives arrived every hour with more terrible news. The humans were not just attacking random targets, they were moving through space like a planned invasion. Ambassador Kale Mora stood before the Great Assembly, his blue skin even paler than before. 7 more worlds have gone dark in the past week. The human fleet is moving toward the core systems. At this rate, they will reach the major population centers within a month. Scholar Quinn Neth sat at her desk surrounded by stacks of ancient books and data tablets. She had been working without sleep, comparing every human attack to the warnings in the Terran Codex. "The patterns match exactly," she announced to the worried crowd. "The humans are following the same invasion strategy described in the Codex from 2,000 years ago. First, they take isolated colonies to test enemy responses. Then they eliminate any military forces that investigate. Finally, they attack major worlds to break enemy morale." Commander Rixthar stood up, his armor still showing damage from his battle with the human ships. "My warriors fought bravely, but their technology is far beyond ours. Their weapons cut through our strongest shields. Their ships move faster than our best fighters." "How many ships do they have?" asked Ambassador Yithka, her wings buzzing with nervous energy. "Unknown," Rixthar replied grimly. "We have confirmed at least 30 human vessels, but there could be many more. Each one is more powerful than our largest battleship." Fear spread through the assembly like a disease. These species had lived in peace for centuries. They had never faced an enemy like this. Scholar Quinn Neth stood up slowly, holding the ancient codex. "There is something else you all need to know. The humans do not fight like other species. According to these records, they view war as both science and art. They study their enemies carefully before attacking." She opened the codex to a page covered with diagrams and notes. "The Terrans believed that the best victory was one where the enemy surrendered before fighting. They used fear as their greatest weapon." "What do you mean?" asked Kale Mora. "They would attack one world completely, destroying everything, then broadcast images of the destruction to nearby systems. Many species would surrender rather than face the same fate." The assembly fell silent. The idea of such calculated cruelty was hard for their peaceful minds to understand. "There is more," Quinn Neth continued, turning pages in the codex. "The humans were not all the same. The final entries speak of a great division among them. Some humans wanted to rule the galaxy through force. Others wanted to live in peace with other species." "You mean there were good humans?" asked Ambassador Yithka hopefully. "Yes, but they lost the civil war. The peaceful humans were either killed or driven into exile. The aggressive ones controlled the military and the government." Commander Rixthar stepped forward. "If the peaceful humans lost, then we are facing only the worst of their species." "That appears to be correct," Quinn Neth agreed sadly. Ambassador Kale Mora looked around the room at all the frightened faces. "We need to make a decision. Do we try to fight them or do we attempt to negotiate?" "Fight?" Rixthar laughed bitterly. "With what? They destroyed my entire battle fleet in minutes. Our combined military forces would last perhaps a few hours against them. Then we must try to talk to them, insisted Kale Mora. Perhaps they can be reasoned with. The Codex suggests that is unlikely, said Quinn Neth. But it also mentions that some human leaders could be honorable in their own way. They had rules about combat and treatment of prisoners. Commander Rixthar shook his head. I saw their faces during the battle. They were enjoying it. These are not honorable warriors. They are predators who hunt for pleasure. While the council debated far away on the UES retribution, Lieutenant Dae-Eun Lee was having her own crisis of conscience. She had been reviewing more historical records, and what she found made her sick to her stomach. The human civil war had not ended in mutual destruction as most people believed. The peaceful humans, calling themselves the Colonial Federation, had fought desperately against the Terran Empire, but they had been outnumbered and outgunned. The final battle had taken place near the galactic core. The Colonial Federation made a last stand to protect civilian colonies full of human families who just wanted to live in peace. They had lost, but some of their ships had escaped into deep space. According to the records Daeun found, over 2 million peaceful humans had fled the galaxy entirely, hoping to find safety among distant stars. The Terran Empire had declared them traitors and enemies. Lieutenant Lee, you look troubled, said Captain Hyun-Woo Kim as he found her in the ship's archives. Daeun quickly closed the files she was reading. Just reviewing tactical data, sir. Hyun-Woo sat down beside her. He had always been kind to his officers, even if he followed Admiral Park's harsh orders. You can speak freely here. What is bothering you? Sir, I have been reading about our history, about the Civil War and why we left the galaxy. It is painful history, Hyun-Woo agreed, but necessary to understand. We suffered greatly during our exile. Captain, what if some of the Colonial Federation humans survived? What if they are still out there somewhere? Hyun-Woo was quiet for a long moment. Why do you ask? Because if they are still alive, then humanity is not just one thing. There could be humans who disagree with what we are doing now. Admiral, Park has made it clear that any Colonial Federation survivors are traitors who abandoned humanity in its darkest hour. But what if they left because they did not want to be part of the killing? What if they were trying to save the peaceful side of our species? Hyun-Woo looked at Daeun with concern. Lieutenant, these are dangerous thoughts. Admiral Park does not tolerate questions about our mission. I know, sir. But I keep thinking about the aliens we are fighting. They remind me of the Colonial Federation humans, peaceful people who just want to live their lives. The difference is that these aliens are living on human worlds. Are they really human worlds if we abandoned them 2,000 years ago? Hyun-Woo stood up quickly. Lieutenant, you must not speak such thoughts to anyone else. Admiral Park considers such ideas to be treason. After the captain left, Daeun continued reading the old records. She found references to hidden colonies where peaceful humans might have survived. If she could find them, perhaps there was another way forward. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council chambers, scholar Quinn Neth made a discovery that changed everything. Deep in the Codex, she found a section she had never noticed before. It was written in a different style, as if added later. To those who find this record, it read, "Know that not all humans chose the path of conquest. Some of us still believe that strength comes from helping others, not destroying them. If the Terran Empire ever returns, look for the Star of Peace in the Outer Rim. There you may find allies among humanity itself." Quinn Neth stared at the page. Could there really be humans who would help fight against their own kind? It seemed impossible, but the Codex had been right about everything else. She quickly called Ambassador Kale Mora and Commander Rixthar to her office. When they arrived, she showed them the hidden message. "This could change everything," whispered Kale Mora. "If there are peaceful humans who oppose the Empire, it could be a trap," warned Rixthar. "How do we know we can trust any humans?" "We do not know," admitted Quinn Neth. "But right now, we have 3 choices. Surrender, fight, and die, or try to find these peaceful humans and ask for their help." The 3 representatives looked at each other. Outside, reports continued to arrive of more worlds falling to the human advance. Time was running out, and they had to make a choice that would determine the fate of every species in the galaxy. The Galactic Council decided to try 3 plans at once. They had little time and fewer options. Ambassador Kale Mora would lead a diplomatic mission to attempt peaceful contact with the humans. Commander Rixthar would organize the military defense of the core worlds. Scholar Quinn Neth would search for the mysterious peaceful humans mentioned in the ancient codex. Kale Mora's diplomatic ship was small and painted white with symbols of peace from dozens of species. As it approached the human fleet near the captured world of New Haven, he felt his hearts beating fast with fear. "Human vessels, this is Ambassador Kale Mora of the Galactic Council," he broadcast. "I come seeking peaceful discussion. Please, respond." The answer came quickly. "Alien vessel, you will surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded." "I am not here to surrender. I am here to talk about ending this conflict without more bloodshed." There was a long pause. Then a different voice spoke, younger, less harsh. "Ambassador, this is Captain Hyunwoo Kim of the UES Retribution. Admiral, Park has agreed to meet with you, but only aboard our ship." Kale Mora knew it was dangerous, but he had to try. "I accept." When he arrived on the human ship, Kale Mora was shocked by its size. The docking bay alone was larger than most alien vessels. Human soldiers in dark armor watched him with cold eyes as he walked through the corridors. Admiral So-Jin Park waited for him in a large meeting room. She was an older human woman with gray hair and eyes like ice. Captain Kim stood beside her, looking uncomfortable. "So," Admiral Park said without greeting, "the aliens have finally decided to surrender." "I am here to discuss peace, not surrender," Kyle Mora replied. "My people and others have lived on these worlds for many generations. Surely we can find a way to coexist." Admiral Park laughed, but it was not a pleasant sound. "Coexist? You are squatters who moved into human territory while we were rebuilding. This galaxy belongs to humanity. Many of these worlds were empty when our people found them. We built cities and farms. We made them into homes. On human soil," Park snapped. "Everything you built was stolen from us." Captain Kim stepped forward, slightly. "Admiral, perhaps we could discuss some form of arrangement. The ambassador seems reasonable." Admiral Park's eyes turned to Kim with anger. "Captain, are you suggesting we negotiate with thieves?" "I am suggesting we consider all options, Admiral." Kale Mora saw tension between the two humans and tried to use it. "Captain Kim, surely you can see that continued fighting will only bring more death." "My people are not warriors. We are farmers, teachers, artists. We pose no threat to you." For a moment, Kim's expression softened, but Admiral Park stood up abruptly. "This meeting is over. Ambassador, you will return to your ship and carry this message to your council. You have 48 hours to begin evacuating all human worlds. Any aliens found on our territory after that time will be eliminated." "Admiral, please," Kale Mora began. "The decision is final." Park cut him off. "Captain Kim, escort the ambassador back to his ship." As they walked through the corridors, Kim spoke quietly. "Ambassador, if it were up to me, things would be different." "Then why do you follow her orders?" Kale Mora asked. Kim was quiet for a moment. "Because I swore an oath to humanity. But sometimes I wonder if we are saving our species or destroying our souls." When Kale Mora's ship left the human fleet, Admiral Park gave a terrible order. "Target the diplomatic vessel. Destroy it." "Admiral," Captain Kim protested. "He was under a flag of truce." "He was a spy gathering intelligence about our fleet," Park replied coldly. "Fire." But Kim had already sent a warning to the diplomatic ship. Kale Mora's pilot got them into hyperspace just as the human weapons fired. They escaped with only minor damage. "Why did you warn them?" Admiral Park demanded. "Because destroying diplomatic missions is a war crime," Kim replied. "Even by the old Terran Empire's standards." Admiral Park stared at him with dangerous eyes. "Captain, I am beginning to question your loyalty." Meanwhile, Commander Rixthar was having his own problems. He had gathered ships from every species in the galaxy, thousands of vessels ready to defend their homes. But when they faced the human fleet in battle, the results were disastrous. The humans used tactics taken directly from the ancient codex. They divided the alien fleet into smaller groups, then destroyed each group separately. They used asteroid, fields, and space stations as cover. They even turned some alien weapons against their own ships using advanced computer viruses. But Rixthar had been studying the codex too. In one battle near the Zephyrian homeworld, he used an old human tactic against them. He pretended to retreat, leading the human ships into a trap where hidden alien vessels surrounded them. For the first time, human ships were destroyed. 3 of their advanced fighters were lost and one larger vessel was badly damaged. The humans were forced to retreat. They can be beaten, Rixthar announced to his fleet. They are not gods. They are just very good at war, but we can learn to fight like them. The victory was costly, though. Over 200 alien ships were lost to destroy just 3 human fighters. And Admiral Park's response was swift and brutal. She ordered the complete destruction of a peaceful alien world with over 50 million inhabitants. The images of the dying planet were broadcast throughout the galaxy. Entire cities burning from orbit. Refugees, fleeing in ships that were hunted down and destroyed. It was exactly what Scholar Quinn Neth had warned about. The humans were using terror as a weapon. Scholar Quinn Neth, meanwhile, had found something amazing. Following clues from the Codex, she had discovered a hidden colony on the edge of the Yo galaxy. The world was called Haven, and it was home to descendants of the old colonial federation. Elder Minho Choi was their leader, an elderly human with kind eyes and a gentle manner. When Quinn Neth's ship arrived, the colonists were frightened at first. They had been hiding for 2,000 years. "You are the first outsiders to find us," Minho said as he welcomed Quinn Neth to their simple city. "We have watched the galaxy from afar, but tried to stay hidden." "Your people have returned," Quinn Neth told him. "The Terran Empire is conquering worlds and killing millions." Minho's face filled with sadness. "We hoped they had learned from the Civil War. We hoped they had found peace. They have not. They believe the galaxy belongs to them by right of conquest." "And what do you want from us?" asked Dr. Yu Jin Han, a younger woman who served as the colony's leader for scientific research. "Help," Quinn Neth said simply. "Your people know how. The Empire thinks. You know their weaknesses. You might be the only hope for stopping them." Minho was quiet for a long time. "We swore we would never fight again. We came here to build something better than war." "Sometimes," Quinn Neth said gently, "we must fight to protect what we have built." Back on the UES Retribution, Lieutenant Daewon Lee made a dangerous decision. She had intercepted communications from the peaceful human colony and learned where they were hiding. Against all regulations, she sent them a secret message. "This is Lieutenant Daewon Lee of the Terran Empire Fleet." She transmitted on an old Colonial Federation frequency. "I have information about Imperial plans and movements. I believe the killing must stop." The response came 12 hours later on the same frequency. "This is Dr. Yu Jin Han of Haven Colony. Can you meet us at these coordinates? We may be able to help each other." Daewon knew that leaving her post without permission would be considered treason. But she also knew that what the Empire was doing was wrong. She had to try to find another way. Using a maintenance shuttle, she slipped away from the fleet during a shift change. Her destination was a small moon where the Colonial Federation representatives had agreed to meet her. Captain Kim noticed her absence 6 hours later. When he checked her flight logs, he discovered where she had gone. He faced a terrible choice: report her to Admiral Park and watch her be executed for treason, or cover for her and become a traitor himself. He chose to buy her time. "Lieutenant Lee is conducting a reconnaissance mission," he reported when Admiral Park asked about her location. But Park was suspicious. "What kind of reconnaissance mission?" "Checking for enemy communications equipment on the nearby moons," Kim lied. Park stared at him with cold eyes. "Captain, if I discover you are lying to me, you will share whatever fate awaits your lieutenant." Kim nodded, knowing he had just risked everything to give Daewon a chance to find another path forward. In a few hours, either she would return with hope for peace or they would both be dead for treason against the Empire. Admiral So Jin Park stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching the stars ahead. In 2 hours, her fleet would arrive at Nexus Prime, the capital world of the Galactic Council. Over 1 billion aliens lived there, and she planned to destroy them all as a lesson to the rest of the galaxy. "Admiral, all ships report ready for final assault," announced her tactical officer. "Excellent," Park replied with a cold smile. "Once we break their capital, the remaining species will surrender within days." But something was wrong. Her sensors showed unexpected ships approaching from 3 different directions. Some looked like alien vessels, but others had the sleek design of human technology. "Admiral," her communications officer reported with confusion, "we are receiving signals from human ships, but they are not part of our fleet." On the main screen, a face appeared that made Park's blood boil with rage. It was Elder Minho Choi, the leader of the peaceful humans she thought had been wiped out long ago. "Admiral Park," Minho said in a calm voice. "I am Minho Choi, speaking for the Colonial Federation survivors. We have come to stop you from committing genocide." "Impossible," Park whispered. "You were all destroyed. We made sure of it. Many of us died, but some escaped. To rebuild our society based on peace instead of conquest, we have spent 2,000 years learning to create instead of destroy." Behind Minho, Park could see human faces, but they looked different from her crew. Their eyes held kindness instead of hardness. Their uniforms were simple and clean, not armored for war. "We have allied with the Galactic Council," Minho continued. "Together we will defend Nexus Prime." Park laughed harshly. "Your peaceful ideals made you weak. Our fleet will crush you just like we crushed you before." "We shall see," said another voice. Captain Hyunwoo Kim appeared on a split screen beside Minho. "Admiral, by authority of the Colonial Federation and the laws of war, I am relieving you of command." Park spun around to stare at Kim, who stood on his own bridge with Lieutenant Daein Lee beside him. "Captain Kim, this is treason." "No, Admiral. This is justice. I have seen the peaceful humans, and I have learned that there is another way for our species to live." Half of Park's fleet began moving away from her formation. Kim had convinced many ship captains that their mission was wrong. These vessels now joined with the Colonial Federation ships that had emerged from hiding. "You fools," Park screamed. "These aliens stole our worlds. They deserve to die." "The only thing they stole was our hate," Kim replied. "And we can choose not to be thieves of peace anymore." The battle for Nexus Prime began unlike any conflict in galactic history. It was not humans against aliens, but humans against humans, with different ideas about what their species should become. Park's remaining ships were still powerful and dangerous. They outnumbered Kim's alliance forces and had superior weapons. But the Colonial Federation had not been idle during their exile. They had developed new technologies focused on defense and protection. Elder Minho's flagship deployed shields that could absorb energy attacks and turn them into power for their own systems. Dr. Yu Jin Han had created weapons that could disable ships without killing their crews. These are not the weapons of conquerors, Kim realized as he watched the peaceful humans fight. They want to win without becoming monsters. Lieutenant Daein Lee coordinated between the human and alien forces. She had learned that the species were not so different. They all wanted safety for their families and homes. Commander Rick Starr led the alien defense fleet with new tactics learned from the ancient codex. But now he was using human strategies to protect instead of attack. Ambassador Kale Mora broadcast messages throughout the battle, offering surrender terms to any Imperial ships that wanted to switch sides. The tide turned when Admiral Park tried to destroy Nexus Prime directly with planet-killing weapons. Kim and Minho's ships moved to block the attack, taking terrible damage to save the world below. "Why?" Park demanded over the communications. "Why do you protect these aliens instead of your own species?" "Because," Kim replied as his ship shook. "Under enemy fire, protecting innocents is what makes us human. Destroying them makes us monsters." Dr. Yu Jin Han activated a new technology that surrounded Park's flagship with an energy field. The Admiral found herself trapped, unable to fire weapons or move her ship. "Admiral Park," Minho's voice came over her speakers. "You have a choice. Surrender and face trial for your war crimes, or fight to the death against your own people. Park looked around her bridge. Many of her officers were staring at her with doubt in their eyes. They had joined the fleet to serve humanity, not to murder innocent families. Admiral, her weapons officer said quietly, "Perhaps we should consider surrender." "Never," Park screamed. "I would rather die than live in a galaxy ruled by weak aliens." She tried to activate her ship's self-destruct system, but her own crew stopped her. Led by her chief engineer, they took control of the bridge and surrendered. The vessel. Park was arrested and taken aboard Minho's ship. As she was led away in restraints, she glared at Kim with pure hatred. "This is not over, traitor. Humanity was meant to rule. You have made our species weak." "No," Kim replied sadly. "You made our species cruel. We are just choosing to be something better." In the weeks that followed, the galaxy began to change. The Colonial Federation and the Galactic Council worked together to establish new rules for coexistence. Humans would be welcome on any world that wanted them, but only as equals, not as rulers. Many of the Imperial humans chose to join the peaceful colonies. They learned new ways of living that did not involve conquest and fear. Others, led by officers, still loyal to Park's ideals, retreated to the galaxy's edge, promising to return someday. Captain Kim became the first human ambassador to the Galactic Council. Lieutenant Da-Yun Lee was promoted to captain and put in charge of training new human officers in the art of cooperation instead of domination. Elder Minho worked with scholar Quinn Neth to rewrite the Terran Codex. Instead of warnings about human aggression, it would now contain lessons about redemption and the power of choosing peace over war. Ambassador Kyle Mora established the first mixed colony, where humans and aliens lived together and learned from each other. Children who had never known war played together under alien suns, but the galaxy remained watchful. Admiral Park and her supporters were in prison, but their ideas lived on. Some humans still believed that their species was meant to rule through strength and fear. On a small world near the galactic rim, a group of Imperial officers met in secret. They wore the old symbols of the Terran Empire and planned for the day when they would return to finish what Park had started. "The weak humans have forgotten who they are," their leader announced. "But we remember. We are predators, not pets, and predators always return to hunt." In the peaceful colonies, human children learned alien languages, while alien children played human games. Dr. Eugene Han worked with researchers from dozens of species to develop technologies that could help everyone. Captain Kim stood on the observation deck of a space station orbiting Nexus Prime, watching ships from many worlds arrive and depart in peace. Lieutenant Da-Yun Lee joined him, carrying reports from their new diplomatic missions. "Do you think it will last?" she asked. "This peace we have built?" Kim watched a human transport carrying grain to a hungry alien world. "Peace is not a destination, Lieutenant. It is a choice we make every day. As long as people are willing to choose cooperation over conquest, it will last. And if they stop choosing peace," Kim's expression grew serious, "then we will have to remind them why the choice matters. The galaxy has seen what happens when humans choose to be monsters. Now they are seeing what happens when we choose to be healers." Far below them, in the council chambers, representatives from 100 species worked together to solve problems that had once led to war. It was not perfect. There were still arguments and disagreements. But now they settled conflicts with words instead of weapons. The age of human conquest was over. The age of cooperation had begun, but in the darkness between the stars, other predators watched and waited for their chance to hunt again. The choice between peace and war would have to be made again and again by every generation that followed. For now, though, the galaxy was learning that the strongest force in the universe was not the power to destroy, but the courage to build something better together.